It's Podrzebie, the comic book nerdcast that dares to ask, what? Me worry?
Here we are in the It's Rambling Men department.
You like Universal monster films, right? I've heard you.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so I got some monster films for you. Maybe you can kind of tell me what they have in common. So there's The Monster and the Girl.
Okay.
Captive Wild Women.
Ooh. Oh, God.
Jungle Woman. Jungle Captive.
Okay.
And Murders at Rue Morgue.
Okay. Oh. Murders. Okay. At first I thought it was going to be some perverse thread which was woven through all of these. That
what
was
do you
my...
think of me? I made one comment that lasted half an hour about artistic nudity in film, and it's like I'm stained forever.
You like so many bed sheets after watching Elsa, the she-wolf of the SS.
It's Ilsa.
See, that was a trap. That's how I knew you were a pervert. Just said the
You're
wrong
stalling.
answer.
What do those films have in common?
What do those films have in common? What Murder at Rue Morgue? That one actually. That's the one that actually sounds the most familiar.
That's the biggest of them, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing it's like an actor in it.
Sort of.
Well, tell me. I don't know. I truly have no idea.
No, we're gonna sit here until you guess it. No, they all feature guys in gorilla suits, which were kind of a phenomenon in the 20s and 30s.
Yeah. Okay. King Kong. No, King Kong was stop motion. That's not even a man in a gorilla suit.
Well, King Kong wasn't one of them. I didn't mention King Kong.
I know that's where my mind went. I tried to fill in the blank of all of these.
Well,
movies.
he was a guy in a gorilla suit in King Kong versus Godzilla.
It's a matter of like, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, right? Like Godzilla was a man in a gorilla or in a lizard suit.
He was a man in a gorilla suit living a lie in a lizard suit.
So tell me about these movies with gorilla men.
They're trying to make a monkey out of you.
So there's lots of them, right? So all the big comedy groups had them. You got Abbott and Costello meet a gorilla in Africa Screams, and Keep 'em Flying, 1941. The Marx Brothers at the Circus, 1931. Wheeler and Woolsey in So This Is Africa. Laurel and Hardy in The Chimp. The Ritz Brothers in The Gorilla. The Little Rascals in The Holy Terror in 1929. And the Three Stooges in Three Missing Links, and then also like 7 other films that they're in.
It's very interesting because Africa seems to lend itself well to stories with gorillas.
I mean, that's where they are. So, I mean, usually your stories are either going to be, in the jungle or at like a circus or something.
Yeah, like fish out of
zoo.
water. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, so all the comedy groups did them. There's also dozens and dozens of just Poverty Row films, like Tarzan and Charlie Chan and the Bowery Boys and Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla. That's like a really kind of bigger one in the Poverty Row films.
You said Charlie Chan. I've been described as a Charlie Chan man.
You're a Charlie Chan man.
I'm a Charlie Chan man. I know it's not chic to say.
No, it's really gone out of fashion.
Yeah, I don't know if I should. You know what? Bleep that.
It seems like in the 30s and 40s, guys in gorilla suits, they were everywhere. But here's the thing. There's actually not that many guys, and there weren't that many gorilla suits. And the guys, they owned their gorilla suits. It was a package deal. You hired them as a gorilla, and they brought the suit.
This is like Santa-esque, right? I mean, isn't that how Santas work now? Where it's like you hire, like these men come, like fully permed beards, bleached white, and with a suit. And you can hire them. There's a whole Santa's union nowadays.
Okay, well, I don't know how unionized they were. But This concept, it just blew my mind. I was watching this documentary called Men in Suits. It's on YouTube. And it's just like a small documentary, and I didn't love it. I wouldn't give it a whole lot of chicken fat, but it's about guys that sort of wear creature actors, I think they call them. So like the guy who played Abe Sapien in the Hellboy films.
Yeah, Frasier's brother.
I don't think it is. No, it's just a guy who looks like that.
Okay, and then Frasier's brother did the voice.
That's what I thought, but this actually led me to believe that the guy did the voice, and he sounds and looks like Frasier's brother, kind of, but like a caricature of him. So I would have to look it up and see for sure. You might be right. That's what I thought before I saw this, and now that you're saying it, that Frasier's brother did the voice.
No. I think you're right, because I remember seeing a picture of the guy, and he looks like John Waters.
He looks like a Tom Richmond drawing of like Niles Crane, because he is like he has an exaggerated features.
He's a shaved John Waters. That's what he is.
I could see that, yeah. They have these kind of weird body proportions kind of help for characters. You want to be kind of like tall and lean, but you also have to be like strong and stuff because you have to carry all this equipment. The documentary wasn't great, but the section on gorillaguys was really good. And so I just wanted to tell you about a few of these guys in gorilla suits. So first you've got Charles Gamora, who's known as the king of the gorilla men. I know, if that's your title, you've done something right. He was a makeup artist who transitioned into the gorilla gig. And, he's a pioneering guy in a gorilla suit. His sort of performance in Tarzan from 1929 is like heavily cited. Then you have Emil Van Horn, who was a stuntman, and he had a kind of shitty gorilla suit. A real like Bargain Harold's kind of, bottom of the barrel kind of suit. But he studied gorillas at the zoo, and he really got their mannerisms down. Yeah. And so he performed in both film and on stage, like plays and doing burlesque. There's this whole kind of like sort of traditional burlesque act where like a woman transforms into a gorilla. It's like a magic trick.
Oh, dang. That's hot. So he's like, this guy is like the Brooklyn Jane Goodall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was a stunt guy, but he's like, obviously he really wanted to get into this role. And I guess he apparently died like wretchedly impoverished after losing his gorilla suit to a landlady for unpaid rent, which is really dark. So I guess that gorilla suit union.
No, it didn't pan out.
He's in Jungle Girl and Keep 'Em Flying in 1941 and The Ape Man in 1943. Then you got Steve Calvert, who got into the biz because he was a bartender at a popular Hollywood watering hole, and he just knew everyone. So like Bela Lugosi would dress up in his Dracula gear and bring Calvert on a leash in his gorilla suit to movie premieres.
Was Bela Lugosi like kind of a lunatic?
I will perfect my own race of people. A race of atomic supermen which will conquer the world.
Yeah. He was kind of romantic, yeah.
He hired a man.
Well, he hired an actor to provide a gorilla service.
It is true. But isn't it strange? Like, I feel like there's been recent stories of like, I don't know, I'm just saying Lady Gaga arriving with people on leashes or like doing like very weird things and people acting like it's so bizarre. And here, nearly 100 years ago, Bela Lugosi is strolling into a movie premiere.
Dressed in full Dracula regalia with a gorilla man on a leash. But I don't think that was like a kinky thing for him.
No.
It was showmanship.
Yeah.
Now, so this guy, Steve Calvert, the bartender, he got his gorilla suit from the most famous guy in a gorilla suit of all, Ray Crash Corrigan. And because he was wearing Crash's suit and the gorilla roles were mostly uncredited, Calvert and Crash's performances are frequently mixed up.
If only there was somebody who could have studied the gorilla impersonators.
There we go. That's what we need. We need a Jane Goodall of guys in gorilla suits. The big problem with the documentary is most of these creature actors that they talk to, they're very defensive. like it's a documentary celebrating them, and right off the bat they're like, it's real acting. Like, we're really acting out there. We're like, it's the most acting of anyone. Like they're like they obviously have a chip on their shoulder about being in these suits, and kind of not being seen as real actors, and also probably being easily replaced in a sense.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, if you didn't want to hire the gorilla guy, you just get the stuntman to throw on the gorilla suit. So most of the guys they're talking to are like, they're more contemporary guys. But the gorilla guy that you see in the documentary, George Barrows, he's really kind of charming, and he's like the guy who comes across as he loves it. And he's the guy who grew up watching all these guys in gorilla suits and was being like, I'm going to do that when I grow up. I'm going to be the guy in the gorilla suit. And he did. He made his dreams come true. So let me ask you this. Did you watch the Ghostbusters cartoon as a kid?
The Real Ghostbusters, I believe, is the title.
Do you know why it's called that?
Isn't it the canon that it's something like very bizarre like that? Isn't it like the TV show?
Well,
in the TV show, they were the source material, and then the movies were made about them.
Just describe the show to me. What show you're talking about?
Okay, so the Ghostbusters, it's the real Ghostbusters. It's people who look vaguely like the Ghostbusters in some cases, and nothing like them in other cases. Like there's an orange-haired.
Okay, but what is the concept? Tell me the concept.
They bust fucking ghosts.
They bust ghosts, and what are they? There's like, how many of them? What do they do? How do they bust these ghosts?
I think there's 4, and Slimer is like a member of the team.
They zap them and trap them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the real Ghostbusters. But that's not the Ghostbusters.
All right, hold on.
And the Ghostbusters...
You put a lot of pressure on me just now. That felt like a test. And I'm like, I'm sweating a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Look, I'll come clean. This is a ruined bit. I was trying to trap you so that I could explain what the Ghostbusters were.
Like a ghost?
Yeah, exactly. I was throwing out my trap there. So when the movie Ghostbusters, Bill Murray's in it, the like famous movie, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, they had to license that name from a show in the 70s called The Ghostbusters. And the show was about these 2 goofy kind of slapstick guys and a gorilla in a propeller beanie. Okay. And they chased ghosts, and they drove around in this haunted jalopy. Anyway, this is all to say that George Barrows, the guy in the gorilla suit, who was so charming in the documentary, he played that gorilla. And brother, he's the TV gorilla of that era. He's on The Addams Family, The Lucy Show, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., The Beverly Hillbillies, The Red Skeleton Show. He even played the gorilla in The Hulk Show with Lou Ferrigno in 1978.
That was big.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically it. I guess it just found it interesting that like the gorilla suit guys owned their own suits and that they were kind of like specific actors. Like, you just kind of assume the guy in the gorilla suit was anonymous, but like they had these specific actors who had sort of like trained themselves and owned the equipment. Yeah. And a lot of their masks, they would cut out part of the face and use makeup as well so that they could have
expression.
Yeah, so they're using like just that kind of strip around the eyes to get a little bit of expression, and then maybe they have a mouth that opens and closes. And the rest is just their performance, It's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm contorting my face trying to like express myself as a gorilla might, just for the people listening. Okay, so I'm sort of fascinated with the overall thrust of this documentary. You're talking about like just monster people and how there was like all of these people who just sort of played monsters.
Yeah, they talked to George Barrows and the guy who played Abe Sapien and some other guy who plays some big monsters. I can't remember who.
Well, this is my question. I was going to ask, how many people made it from monster actor to legitimate actor? I can think of one.
Who's that?
Andy Serkis, the guy who played Gollum in Lord of the Rings. And now he's like a respected actor. He was probably respected before, but just not by me.
Well, he's like a pioneering creature actor, right? Because Gollum was like kind of like a new realm of like creature acting. But it's not really in the suit, right? It's not really in the suit. It's kind of almost like a different skill. Whereas like these other guys, they're physically wearing like a suit. and it's like there's weight to it, and they've got to be able to move and kind of like figure out like maybe they have a hand that goes like 3 feet beyond their hand, and they have to figure out like all their movements and stuff. And they follow this guy, the main guy, I can't remember his name. I should have written it down for this. He's actually getting a suit sort of built for him for a movie he's going to play. And so they're going back and they're showing him like trying on the suit and stuff. And they talk about the cooling systems that they use throughout the suit. They have some great old footage.
Yeah.
Like there's a movie where I can't remember what the movie is, but it's like there's these guys in dinosaur suits and like one of them passes out and it's in the movie.
It's called Jurassic
he
Park,
just falls
dude.
over.
Jurassic Park is the one where the dudes are in the dino suits.
This is from like the 30s.
Oh. All right. Hey, how about this though? With the what were you just talking about?
Guys in gorilla suits for like 15 minutes.
Oh yeah. What movie was that where Al Franken doesn't a gorilla make love to him? What movie is that?
I have no idea.
I might have to look that up.
I feel like they should get more if they have to do an erotic scene. But I guess, like I said, they actually did kind of have these kind of erotic scenes because there'd be like tropes of like a woman turning into a gorilla, or like another popular trope, which is there's a gorilla committing crimes, and it turns out that it's actually a guy in a gorilla suit.
Yeah.
But not the guy in the gorilla suit. It's like that. Then they'll transition to the real actor.
Okay, here it is. Trading Places. Do you remember that movie? I hope you do. Eddie Murphy.
I don't think I've seen it.
Dan
no, I have
Aykroyd.
seen that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And
Al Franken makes love to a gorilla in that movie?
Al Franken, I think maybe it wasn't Al Franken. I think Al Franken was somewhere in the scene. But a man in a bad gorilla suit gets awed by a man in a really nice gorilla suit.
I think I have seen that. That seems to bring up a lot of feelings.
Yeah. You notice I censored myself because last week when I said an R word, I noticed that you bleeped me. I
let you say it once in the context, and then I bleeped out the 2 subsequent times when you used it. And I tried to do it in like a humorous way.
All right. Well, I'm American.
But now I feel like you're talking about a different R word now, so I'm so confused.
I don't know which ones I'm allowed to say around you.
Listen, we're trying to grow an audience here. You're trying to alienate our audience right off the bat.
Yeah, and then the ones that stick around truly love us.
We don't want them. They're going to be sickos.
If you love something, continue to alienate it.
Let it go. All right, we need to be moving on.
All right, let's go on to our next department.
When you grow,
When you grow up, when you grow up,
yes, you're bound to look like a monkey when you grow. Now take me, I got a sensible gal, ain't you, honey?
Yes, indeed, and that is the letter rip department. That's how it is. I was just riffing. Yes, we do. It's the Department of Corrections.
We may be idiots, but we're intellectually honest here. And we made some mistakes in the last episode. I mean, really just I made mistakes in the last episode. But so I just want to go over some of the corrections to make. So in the last episode, I was talking about a documentary, Men in Suits, in which I was specifically talking about the section of guys in gorilla suits. I conflated 2 gorilla men, which, was normally a fun weekend. But since it's on video here, I want to just get the record straight. I thought the guy in the documentary was George Barrows, and that he played Tracy the gorilla in the 1975 show The Ghostbusters. No relationship to the real Ghostbusters. But as it turns out, the guy in the documentary is actually noted Hollywood memorabilia collector and archivist Bob Burns III, who actually was the guy in the gorilla suit on the Ghostbusters show, but he was less prolific in terms of being a television gorilla guy than his gorilla-suited mentor, George Barrows, who did all of the TV roles, Addams Family, The Hulk, and things like that I mentioned. So I just wanted to set the record straight on that.
His estate reached out to us, and we apologize for that mix-up.
Also, at the beginning of that episode, I said murders at Rue Morgue. referencing the film, but the film is actually Murders in the Rue Morgue. And that one, I think, is especially bad because I implicated you in that, because then later you said Murders at Rue Morgue, no doubt based on my mistake.
Oh, no doubt. Yes.
There's a couple other little mistakes, like I said Captive Wild Women instead of Captive Wild Woman. But I think the Rue Morgue one was bigger. And then for the Mascot Red-Handed department, I referred to the Sick magazine mascot, the original one, the physician. You might remember him.
Yeah.
I just called him the physician. Apparently, he's actually named Dr. Sickmund. Not that anyone cares. And I also realized that I accidentally said that the talking blob from Cracked first appeared in 1949. And what I meant to say was issue number 149. My Lixdexia must have been acting up. Also, the blob is possibly female, so we may have misgendered them. But the official Cracked wiki uses he, but I'm pretty sure the blob is referred to as she at least sometimes. And one more, this is not a correction, but when we were talking about Pro Junior, you were talking about how much you liked the name.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, a Pro Junior is a kind of Fender amp, and that's probably where the name came from. I don't know much about music, but I think it's a somewhat iconic model of amp.
Yeah.
And like I recognized it when I saw a photo of it, even though I've never owned an amp. You know
what's interesting about that? That gives me more information, but no more understanding.
I'm assuming the guy just took the name Pro Junior.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to let you know that while we were talking about it. And, that's all for the Department of Corrections, to which I say, what? Me sorry?
Thanks for watching, idiot. Hit like and subscribe. And hey, if you want more black Podrzebie podcast, check out the links in the show description.